Okay.
So nice to have everyone here. I think I mentioned earlier that Gloria is unable to attend today.
Oh, okay.
She contacted me a little while ago,
Mhm.
and hopefully we can have Anna on the next couple minutes. So call to order today is 2:07.
Okay.
And we, first thing on the agenda is approval of the previous month's minutes for February.
Mhm.
Uh,
How
is
did
that-
you like them, David? Were they okay?
No, they seem fine. Yeah, you did a great job.
Mhm.
We just need to motion to approve. There's only right now
So
3 of
moved.
us. Karen, great.
Karen? Okay.
I approve. And then Lorraine, you wrote them. I'm sure they're good.
So the first
So,
motion was Karen and second is David? Is that
Yes,
correct? Okay.
it is correct. Good. And thank you very much. You did a great job on them, Lorraine.
Oh, no problem. Okay.
So next thing on the agenda, we are very fortunate to have a guest with us today, Christopher Plant. Mr. Plant will talk about specialized telephones with people with disabilities. The program is through the Commonwealth of Mass State 911 Department, Mass Equipment Distribution Program. It is a service that provides residents with permanent disability access to telephones for free or reduced cost. At the conclusion of the presentation, questions are welcome. Thanks for being with us today, Mr. Plant.
Of course. Would it be helpful for me to share a PowerPoint?
Sure, if it's not too much trouble, that's great.
Yeah, I have it right here. So let me pull it up.
Mhm.
Okay. Can you see that?
Josh, you're going to need to enable screen sharing.
Yep,
Oh,
I already did that.
Okay, good.
all right. Let's see. Okay, are you guys seeing that?
No,
No,
No, not.
no.
Okay. I thought I hit screen share, but oh, I see. My fault. Okay, how about now?
So, yep, yeah, we're fine. Introduction.
Okay. Great.
There we go. Okay, good. Is that taking up the whole screen now?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll just kind of use this as more of a general guide, so you can see some examples of the equipment. But what we do at the Mass EDP is provide telephones to people with disabilities. So any permanent issue that impedes your use of the phone, we will provide you with a piece of equipment to help use the telephone more successfully. So I would say the largest group that we serve is probably hard of hearing individuals, but low vision, legally blind, motion issues, cognitive issues, speech deficits, anything that makes it difficult to use the phone, as long as a licensed medical professional will sign your application. If you're a resident of Massachusetts, you can be a part of our program. So there's no age restrictions. It has nothing to do specifically with income. I'll talk a little more about that, but it has nothing to do with insurance. It's just for residents of Massachusetts. If you make over $50,000 a year in income, so nothing to do with like the value of your home or your estate, strictly $50,000 a year or over in income, you pay a one-time copayment. And that depends on what type of equipment we give you. For the landline options, it's usually around $30 or something. And that's just a one-time fee. So we're allowed to give you one phone at a time. but not one phone in a lifetime. So if you got a phone from us today, and then 2 years from now, you're maybe you've had a change in your vision, for instance, and you needed a phone with larger buttons, we would provide you a different piece of equipment. And that co-payment, you only pay that once. So if you got, say, 4 or 5 phones throughout the course of 20 years, you'd only pay a co-payment on one of them. So here's all the different disabilities that we serve. And I always tell people too, our umbrellas for each disability are wide. So for instance, if you're signing up for hearing loss, you don't need to wear a hearing aid or fail some sort of test at the doctor's. If you have a little notice trouble hearing on the telephone, I've never had a medical professional deny the applicant. Same with like a mobility impairment. That could mean someone who's in a wheelchair. It could mean somebody that uses a walker, or it could be somebody that has bad arthritis in their hands and it's hard to hold the phone for a long time. And then obviously cognitive would be an issue with that too. You know, maybe somebody doesn't necessarily consider themselves disabled, but they have a little trouble remembering people's telephone numbers. They could still sign up for our program too. Okay, so if someone, here's our staff, by the way. So there's down at the, it's a real small program, which is nice. So everybody on staff will be able to kind of tell you the same information. So Grant is our manager, and then there's 6 people down in the office, and then there's 5 people throughout the state like myself that go out to people's homes. So once you get an application from us, which we'll go over a little more, but you'll fill it out, you'll have the licensed medical professional sign it, and then it gets sent back to us. And when we receive it, we'll call the customer and say, hey, how's next Wednesday at 11? And somebody like myself will come out to the home, show the customer some different options, and then set up the phone, you know, save in numbers, test all the settings, and make sure it's helping the person and kind of teach them how to use it. When I go out to people's homes too, I always like to kind of set up the whole phone system in their house to be more helpful. So if they have a phone that they do okay with, that's maybe their main phone, we would replace it with ours, and then I'll move that other phone to another location so they can have, you know, multiple working phones. Okay, so here's some of the different options. You may or may not be familiar with TTYs. They're a little bit outmoded, but the service is still used by some people, and definitely the relay system that the TTY utilizes is used by a lot of people. So when you're communicating on a TTY, you know, you're typing or voicing. If you have a voice, you can speak into the receiver, and then the operator is translating that conversation to the other party. And again, they're a newer technology, so this doesn't get used a whole lot, but they are available. The electrolarynx is given to somebody who, you know, has no voice. And we give out this equipment, but it has to go through a speech pathologist, so we send them directly to the speech pathologist. Again, we're not giving out a ton of these, but it is a nice service because they're really expensive, and usually insurance will only cover one of them. So people love to have a backup in case the battery goes out or something. So I'm going to return to the iPhone because I like to talk about that in a little more detail. This is probably our most popular of the landline phones. It does a lot of different things. So its, I guess, main purpose is for someone who's hard of hearing. It will boost the volume. But you know, I get lots of people that say, I can hear the person speaking, I just have a hard time making out what they're saying. So what this one does is you can adjust not only the volume, but the pitch or clarity of people's voices. And Panasonic just makes a really good product. It does a really good job of doing that. It also has a function where on the answering machine, which is on the base, there's a button that says slow. So it's kind of human nature, and whenever somebody leaves a message, they always talk way too fast. And I'm sure like you've had it happen before where the person is calling from the car or something, and then you're trying to write down the telephone number to call them back, and you have to play the message over and over again. This button, when you hit the slow button, it just makes the message play out a lot slower. So people that have trouble with their hearing, or if you just want to slow it down to transcribe something, people like that feature a lot. This phone is just a strictly kind of amplified cordless phone. It does the same thing. You can adjust the tone of people's voices along with the volume. Both of these cordless ones have a talking caller ID too, and a talking number pad. So when you dial like 508, it will repeat 508 to you if you have trouble with your vision. So it's affirming that you're pressing the keys that you want to reach. This is the CapTel phone, which has sort of replaced the TTY for a lot of hard of hearing and deaf people. It will caption all of the words that are incoming in that conversation. So it also utilizes an operator, but you don't interact with the operator at all. So in the 711 system, after each party speaks, they say go ahead. So sort of like walkie-talkies, like and saying over when you're done, so you know it's the other person's turn to speak. The CapTel doesn't do any of that. You can just have a regular phone conversation, and the operator is only hearing what the party calling in is saying. So they're not hearing responses from the hard of hearing person. And the reason there's an operator, people ask like, why doesn't the software just do it without needing an operator? I guess just the way that voice software works is that to be, I think the federal government requires that they're like 95% accurate. And the only way you can get there with current software is to have a specific operator working with a specific. That's how it makes it so on point. So again, if you called a hard of hearing person, the operator would hear you, but not the other party. This is a phone that I give to low vision people. It just has basic bigger numbers than your average portable phone that light up real bright. This one I give to people who have low vision, and it's just real big numbers. All of the low vision ones too can amplify. So if you have trouble with your hearing and your vision, we can kind of solve it in one telephone. This one's pretty neat. This one is for people who don't have use of their hands. So it's a speakerphone, and you can answer it with a variety of different, and dial with it with a variety of different like switches. So we can set up like it's called a puff switch. So it's like a big long straw, and when the phone rings, the person would puff into it, and that answers the phone. And then when they want to dial someone, on those panels on top of the circular buttons there, each one can store 2 numbers. So when you puff into the switch, it starts a sequence, and there will be a light on the side that will go down every 3 seconds, or we can adjust it. And then say they were trying to call the 5th button down. When that 5th button lights up, they puff again and it calls that number. So this one's pretty satisfying to give out, because you go to someone's home who really can't use the telephone at all, and then, you know, in a half an hour, we get them up and running. This one, another just standard big button cordless. And then this one, the photo phone, I really like. This is for people who, well, it serves a bunch of different purposes, but if you have memory issues, we can put photographs in there, and you just hit the photograph and it calls that person. You can, I also use this one for low vision clients. So those photographs, we can just flip over and they're blank on the back, and I can take a Sharpie and write someone's initials real big, or the buttons are large enough where I can mark them with like bump stickers. So I'll use like a variety of different tactile stickers. So I'll bring like bump stickers, and then like Velcro tape, and I can cut shapes out of it. So they can, make each button feel a lot different from each other. So like, the client's son's number is the bump, their daughter's number is a strip of the scratchy Velcro, and then their neighbor is the soft side of the Velcro. So we can kind of come up with some combinations that help people remember who's where if they can't see the buttons at all. I had a client the other day who he makes 3 calls every day. And they're kind of like his, he calls down to the front desk to order his lunch. He lives in an assisted living. And then he calls the talking newspaper, where they read the newspaper to you. But it was taking him like a half an hour to get into the Globe. He loves to, it was the Globe, something very specific, like the Globe business section. But it's a big phone tree. So, you dial in your access code, and then it says, press 1 for the Globe, and then, press 2 for business or whatever he's looking for. But he had no idea where he was on the dial pad. So we saved in the front desk to the top left-hand button, and then the main number for the newspaper on the middle button, and then the digits in the phone tree into the third button. So in 10 seconds, he could get to where he was trying to get to, where it was taking him like a half an hour before. So that one was great. He was super thrilled with that. This one is just a standard amplified desk phone, nothing too special. So just going to go back real quick to the iPhone. So this is new to our program. We provide the iPhone XR Plus. So it's like the larger screen than the standard iPhone. So when if an iPhone is what would serve the customer the best, they are responsible for their own service plan, but we provide the equipment. Same with the landline phones. People are still responsible for their phone bill, but the actual hardware is free. So for an iPhone, it's a pretty good deal because it's about like $1,000 valued phone that you're getting at no charge, which is awesome. But more importantly, the way it works is, it's just a regular iPhone XR Plus, just like we could get at the store. What makes it specific to our program is it comes preloaded with all these different applications specific to the disability. And this program is kind of so new that I haven't even gotten to fool around and kind of experiment with all the different apps. But just as an example, for some of the ones I have seen, the one for people with low vision is amazing. It has a button that will turn it into a magnifying glass, or an app that turns it into a magnifying glass. It has a app that reads barcodes at the grocery store. So like if you have, a dietary restriction or something, you can hold this thing up to the barcode and it will tell you what the ingredients are and the caloric information. It has an app that you can hold the iPhone over a piece of paper and it will read the piece of paper to you. It's amazing. And then of course it has the built-in Siri. So for people that just want to use it as a telephone or a texting device, they can do that all by voice. And we'll go out and help them as best we can. So we're currently setting up some training and stuff for our staff so we can help more with this. But it's their telephone too. So if they want to go take a class at the Apple Store or something, like people can do whatever they like with it or add their own apps to it. So once they receive it from us, they can customize it however they want. Okay, so let me get over to the end of these. Okay, so here's the eligibility requirements. So obviously you have to live in Massachusetts. Your disability needs to be permanent, but like I talked about at the beginning, like there's plenty of people that don't consider themselves disabled that would still qualify for our program. And then you have to have your own landline telephone number. It doesn't matter what provider it is. You could have Comcast, you could have Verizon, RCN is around. Whoever you get your landline service through, that's fine. It will interface with our equipment. And then if you're getting a cell phone, you would need to either have that phone added to your existing plan, or if you don't have a cell phone currently, you would need to bring it to a cell phone provider and sign up for service. And then you need to be certified by a licensed medical professional. So it used to be only doctors could sign the application, which was kind of stupid, but more of a clerical issue. But now we've opened it to any licensed medical professional in Massachusetts. So for instance, hearing aid specialists can sign up, people. My wife is a physical therapist, so she could sign people up. You know, and then obviously it's up to the discretion of the license holder. So like my wife wouldn't sign up someone for hearing loss because that's not her expertise, but she would sign someone up for a motion category, for instance. And then number 5 doesn't really, we've streamlined that a little bit. So in the past, you had to send your application into the Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing or the Commission of the Blind. You only need to do that now for the Commission of the Blind. And people who are legally blind, if they're already declared legally blind, don't need the doctor to sign that application because their certificate of blindness supersedes our application. Every other disability besides legally blind, even low vision, which is kind of confusing, every other one can just get sent right back to our Middleborough address that's on the applications. And we have a person there who does the certifying. You can get applications on our website, or you can call us and we'll mail you one, whatever's easier. And this is what the application looks like. So first page on the left there, pretty straightforward. And then the only question that can get a little confusing is the income qualification one. So if you check the no box on that you're under $50,000, then you can just stop answering the questions. There are no, we're not looking through tax records or anything. It's all an honor system. So I'll have some people whose income might fluctuate a little bit, and maybe some years they're under $50,000 and some year they're a little over. I would tell people it's up to, it's in their discretion of what box to check. The vast majority of our customers are under that $50,000 because again, most of the people I'm working with are retired. But if you check that no box, then you don't need to answer anything else. And there's a couple of caveats for like if you have dependents and stuff too. And then the final page is for the medical professional to fill out. We talked about that. Okay. And then I just have a couple of things to share about the 911 department, because that's who we, that's the main part of who I work for. And the Mass EDP falls under the state 911 department. But the disability indicator form, you can get through our office. So this is if you have, if you're a person with a disability or a disabled person living with someone else, you can be on file with 911. So if you call 911, an indicator will come up with the dispatcher that this person has, you know, unique issues that would be helpful for the first responders to know while they're responding. And this is the form we have. You can get it through our outreach department. And then we take care of all of it for mailing it back to the, or getting it to the local municipality where the person is signing up. The silent call procedure is for people who can't speak and need to call 911. So whether it's a medical issue or a safety issue, and they, you know, they can't be speaking. I just heard a story from one of our dispatchers about getting one of these calls, and the woman was hiding above the garage in like a crawl space, and couldn't talk because she was trying to stay away from an abusive partner. And they did a whole conversation and got the police going out there all through asking like yes, no questions. Like the operators are specifically trained to ask these questions to be yes, no answers to get the location of where you are and the idea of like what's going on. And they went through the whole thing and saved the woman, and the guy got arrested. But wild. Hopefully nobody will ever have to use this, but it's good to know it's there. And you don't need to know all of these, like the operator will walk you through all of what to press. So they'll go through their protocols and then they'll say, I understand you can't speak, but you're on the line. Press 1 if you need the police, 2 for fire, 3 for an ambulance, and so forth. Now in Massachusetts, you can text 911 if you can't call. So in the to field on a text message, you put 911, no spaces, no dashes, just 911, and then type a description of what's going on, just like you were calling. And it will type back to you, and you'll have a conversation through text, just like you would over the phone. And the police or the ambulance or the fire department will be responding just like they would to a telephone call. And again, that's very good in situations where you don't want to be speaking. So I'm sure we could all come up with 1,000 morbid examples, but the one I like to use is if you were on the T and 2 people were fighting and you didn't want to be the person standing across from them talking to a dispatcher on the phone, you could just be texting and no one would ever know you were contacting 911. Hey, does anybody have any questions? I know that's a lot all at once.
Lorraine, did you have a question?
Sorry about that. First of all, I'm very impressed at the level of the variety of phones for, the different type of situations that someone can actually, go through and have that would benefit them. But, and I did hear about the silent call procedure, which I think is great, and also bringing that up again to make people well aware of that. I run a triad senior and law enforcement together program with police, fire, sheriff's department, and all of them.
Yep.
DA's office, and this is something that is just you need to get it out there so that people realize there are other avenues, if you're not able to speak, like you said, and all of that. But wow, you gave us a wealth of information, Chris. This has been very informative.
Oh, sure. No problem. I appreciate it.
Karen, did you have a question?
Yes. Hi, Chris. I'm Karen Eicher. I'm a speech language pathologist who's a professor at Bridgewater State University, who actually taught about assistive technology yesterday at 1:50. So there we are. My question for you is, we are a municipal commission. We have no direct contact with the public. So in your experience, how do other commissions use this information, since we will not be interacting with individuals about this?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't really know if I have a great answer for you, other than just spreading the information to people who might interact more with patients and clients. I always think it's good, like, I'm sure, I don't know if you guys interact with the senior center, but there's always way more people that could benefit, especially from our program, that know that it exists. We don't do a lot of advertising. Like our advertising budget is me doing Zooms,
Exactly. Yeah.
health fairs and stuff. So I mean, you asked that's the big question, right? Is how do we spread the word directly to the people who need it? Usually I find that like providers are the best way to do that, or other like elder service programs, like South Shore Elder Service and Old Colony Elder Service. I get lots of people through them, and also housing authorities. So like Norwood, for whatever reason, the manager at Norwood Housing just thought our program was interesting, right? So she helped a lot of people sign up for it, and then it always snowballs, right? So, someone's neighbor has one, they get talking, oh, I have trouble hearing on the phone. Oh, I got this phone through, and now I have 60 people in Norwood Housing that have a phone through our program. But then there's other places where, nobody from that town's housing authority has a phone through us. And I know that there's lots of people who would qualify. So, yeah, you ask a question that I wish I had a better answer to, because it would be beneficial for our program too.
Absolutely. I think the social service person at our senior center would be a really good resource for this. And I also want to know, have you spoken to the disability resource folks on the Bridgewater campus or on any of the university campuses in the Commonwealth?
No, that's another thing that is an excellent idea for outreach, especially now that we provide the iPhone, because it used to be like, I wouldn't, put kind of like the disability resource officers at like Bridgewater in my kind of my general routine of going out to visit, because we were more senior focused. But now that I have an option that, like a hard of hearing college kid isn't going to laugh at me when I show them, that's a wonderful idea, and I'll go do that next week.
Yeah, I know that the student accessibility services person here at Bridgewater, her name is Jenna Shales, and they're actually having an event in 2 weeks to raise awareness about disabilities. They're calling it Be Seen. And just what they're asking is everybody who has disability accommodations wear these hot pink t-shirts all over the campus. And because it's student accessibility services, it's SAS. And so they have pictures of Sasquatch all over, like we are not, we exist. And so we're doing a number of things to try to raise awareness. But I know we have folks on campus who have low vision. I know we have folks on campus who have other challenges. I know I've had to send tests formatted in a specific way to the testing center so that they can input them into the software for my low vision students. So I think while it's certainly not going to be the number of people you would have in maybe senior housing, I think there are still some folks through the university that would benefit. And I know 60% of our students are commuters. So it's not like we have to try to make it work with our crazy systems on campus. They're out in the world. So it'd be a really helpful thing for them to know about.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm taking notes while you were saying that. That's a fantastic idea. And even if it's
totally used to people taking notes while I talk, because professors live with that. So anyhow, but anything. And so David can certainly you have my name on the email, so feel free to email me if you have any questions or further follow-up.
Sure. And likewise, if something comes up where that there's somebody that needs the service too, because I would go out for, if there's one person that has low vision, it's not
right.
For me, it's not a numbers issue at all. It's not like I'm getting reimbursed per device that I give out. I just want to make sure as many people are accommodated as possible, especially in like a learning environment too. Like if like having a new updated iPhone is something that could help benefit them in their education, like that's exactly what I would want to be helping with.
And I just thought of something else. When you're thinking about the folks with cognitive deficits, we have our Excel program, which would be young adults with disabilities who are between the ages of 18 and 24, essentially, who are participating in college for various reasons. And one of our Excel students, Zach Chipman, who has been on our commission, works in Excel. One of our students was a regular matriculating student who was struck by a truck and is now returning as someone in Excel with a traumatic brain injury with memory and vision problems. And so, like this is all new. I'm not sure that she has, as her condition has resolved and all of those things, that she has what she needs given her new state of affairs. Better than she was, but not how she was before her accident. And so some of the things that you talked about with pictures instead of trying to remember numbers and all of that may apply to someone like her. So
absolutely.
We can,
And
I
then-
can also give you the contact information for the Excel program. But I
Yeah.
do know that they have had somebody sit on our commission, but they've been really busy lately, so Zach hasn't been able to make our meetings.
No, that sounds, I mean, and you know, just thinking about like, on an iPhone, just with the Siri and stuff, how much easier that makes everything work. But sometimes it's also nice to have, and this goes for everyone too, whether it's a landline or the iPhone. One of the good things about our service is if somebody's struggling with their device for whatever reason, I'll come out and sit with them for an hour and go over all the different features, and we'll practice it. And,
Right.
you know, I'll help add contacts or whatever we need to do to make it
Right.
work specifically for the person. So I always tell people, like, I'm not just a delivery person. I'm more of like a telephone teacher is how I like to see myself.
There you go.
And that goes too for if stuff is broken too. So, you know, I would say half of my calls are for fixing or replacing stuff that people have had for a while.
Is there
So
any other
Chris,
questions for,
I've got
Sure.
another comment, David. So
okay,
Chris, my feeling was when I ran into you at the senior center, you did exactly what I thought would help this disabilities commission. It was to bring about educational awareness. And I learned an awful lot about what you have to offer and how your program works, and the Mass 911 program also. So I think it's definitely a benefit. So thank you very much.
you know,
Excellent. I
Chris,
appreciate it.
I was thinking the same thing, Chris. I'm the chair of the Elder Affairs Commission in Bridgewater, so I deal with seniors all the time. Anna Nakushi, who's on the call, volunteers at the senior center and deals with seniors. Lorena's dealt with the Bridgewater Housing Authority in the past, so we're all out there in the community
Yeah.
dealing with people that would benefit from these phones. And I think this will help us to spread the word, most definitely.
Excellent.
Because can I say, I have a
Certainly, Anna.
sorry, hi.
Hi.
I have a disability, so I use Siri all the time because it helps me with my hands. So it's this phone sits, set up for the disabled and the elderly or anyone who cannot use a phone. It's good because there are predicaments sometimes that you cannot, go fast enough. So you just speak into Siri and she does the job for you.
Yep. Absolutely. And I would say to you specifically, if you were ever, so the iPhone program for me is great, especially for people who have already had an iPhone, because then, there's no learning curve to the new one other than those specific applications that might be, make some things on your phone more accessible. So the next time you are looking to, upgrade your iPhone, you could certainly do it through us. And usually we are like 2 generations behind whatever the brand new one is. And just in general, like kind of, say the iPhone 10 comes out, right? Then the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 14 are basically the same phone with a fancier camera on it. So, if you're getting one that's a couple generations behind, you're not really missing out on anything of great importance. But then like myself, I had an iPhone 6, I think, and then eventually it just, it wouldn't update anymore. So they kind of force you to go get a new one.
New one.
But, I always tell people that if you have, there's nothing that's precluding you from signing up. If you already have an iPhone, you could get into our system and then you don't have to get one now either, right? Like, so you could sign up and we could call you when you got your application. You could say, hey, I want to be in the system right now. My phone's working fine, but I'll get back to you when something goes wrong with mine and I don't want to go buy another one. So we can certainly do that too.
Great.
Mm.
Is there any other questions before we let Chris go?
No. Thank you for coming.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Chris, thank you very much. I think you were very informational and we really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. This is fantastic. You guys do a great job too. And if anybody has any questions or anything, feel free and email me. And if you don't have my contact information, if you call our main number too, they can always put you in touch with me.
Great. Thank you so
Very
much,
good.
Chris.
All right.
Thanks-
Have a nice day,
Thanks
everybody.
again for joining us. Take
Yeah.
care. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
too.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
There we go. All right.
So,
Have a good day, guys.
You too.
okay. So next on our agenda is recruiting new members to our Disability Commission, which I think is really important. A couple of things that I was thinking of that, if everyone is in agreement, I could do this week even. Is talk to Mary Lee Hunt, who's always getting people that are interested in a commission like ours. And also going up to the town manager's office because they receive all the people looking to join commissions. They receive the applications up there, and I could just express our need to get another member onto our commission and see if they can earmark some of the applicants towards us. Does everyone agree that that would be a couple of good resources?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Is there anyone else we should be looking towards to get applicants?
I mean, I'm hopeful that Gloria will come on board since she's attended every meeting, to be a regular full-time member. But I know she has some things going on, so I don't really feel we need to push that also.
Well, you
And-
know what, though? I'm not even looking to bypass Gloria because you're
Yeah.
right. I think that'd be great. But it would
Yeah.
also be kind of nice to have a couple of people that just join us that are
Yes.
in the wings, so to speak,
Absolutely,
if we did have an opening in the
Yeah.
future.
we
'Cause
do.
it's
Yeah.
hard to fill these positions, and it would be nice to have kind of a ready-made backup.
And I think if we want to get involved in, meteor things or whatever, we do need a full complement of membership to be able to, like you had mentioned, pursuing grants. But I think right now that's kind of an impossible thing to do.
Right.
Like Karen had mentioned, identifying needs and where we're heading, and we don't have a full complement, on our committee. So I think that's going to be a little rough trying to do work
Okay.
like that,
Okay. So I will I'll talk to Mary Lee this week and also Mike Dutton's office and see, if they have any applicants, and we'll go
Yeah.
from there.
You also might find someone willing, so I joined this because you mentioned that there was a need at one of the Elder Affairs commission meetings, and there may be someone willing to serve on a second commission.
Yeah.
I think
That's a good.
Rich's background in OT, I can think of him as being particularly useful on this committee.
Mhm.
He's already very committed with a lot of other things. So, but I'm just, given what I know about the Elder Affairs Commission, I think there might be some people there who would be make some really good contributions to this commission as well.
Mhm.
That's a good idea.
There's
Definitely.
always been some great crossover with Elder Affairs committee members and also a lot of the other boards and committees in town. There's always been that great crossover because there's so much talent on that board. So that's a great idea, Karen, to maybe even think about that too. We do need some other people on,
New
so,
blood.
yeah.
Okay, moving right along. We have Robert Ruley, the Bridgewater Community and Economic Director, who's pretty brand new to the position. He's going to be attending our April 25th meeting. He's going to present a short casual presentation of his duties in the position, and which will lead to a discussion how we could be involved with the Community and Economic Director going forward. We would probably benefit from having some questions in advance of the meeting. Is there anything that anyone off the top of the head would like to have discussed, or we have plenty of time to come up with questions in advance?
Could we just send them to you like we did before when we had a guest
Yes.
speaker?
That's a wonderful idea,
Yeah.
and I would also
Do that.
send them to Robert so that he has kind of a advance notice of some of the questions.
Okay.
Yeah, the only one I can think of off the top of my head is, to what extent does the economic development here in Bridgewater include people of all abilities?
Okay,
And,
Yeah.
you know, access is one thing, and I think that's the place where very often the town stops their deliberations, because like, can they get in the building? Okay, we met our goal, like accessibility, like, can they physically enter the building? But if we're talking about economic development, are they recruiting businesses that would be accessible? Are they recruiting businesses that would want people? How will they, like, we have a great coffee shop on Central Square, but good luck getting the one you want if you have low vision or if you're deaf. So to what extent are they looking at businesses that are disability friendly?
Mhm.
that's a great question, Karen. Could I ask you a favor, though?
Sure.
There was no way I could keep up
Would you
with
like me
that
to
whole.
send that to you in an
Could
email?
you email it to me? That would be great.
That would be fine.
That would
Thank
definitely
you.
be helpful. And I'll
Uh,
come up with a couple of thoughts, David, and I'll send them to you also.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. And we'll send this out to Gloria too, so if she has any ideas also, that would, be one more person. So that's great. Going along with this, do we want to invite for the following month, Steve Solari back again? He is the ADA coordinator for the town of Bridgewater. We met with him before, and we really haven't followed up with him since then. Is this something we want to try to develop a working relationship? Are we not in the position to pursue this right now? What are you guys' thoughts in regard to that?
You could invite him to a meeting. I don't see the harm with that, you know?
I think you have invited him to meetings in the past and he has chosen not to come.
So let's put it on the agenda and let's see where we stand for May. Put
Yeah,
it
I mean,
on
it could be that he just has a standing invitation to this meeting. He
Yeah.
certainly, as ADA coordinator, would always be welcome.
Right,
Yes.
but why don't we just push it a little bit further, put him on the May agenda, and then ask him, as far as his role as an ADA coordinator, what's been going on with it? That's all,
That's a good point. Okay,
Just
Yeah.
put him on the agenda and just see what he has to update us on or offer, whatever.
And that would actually be our first step. So we can't
Yeah.
write a grant for a need in town that we don't know about.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
the person who would know about the needs, at least theoretically, would be the ADA coordinator.
Right,
right.
exactly.
So he would be the one who would identify the need. I mean, but beyond that, I'm still, and this is, I guess, follow up to a presentation last month. I'm still wondering why towns are pushing their responsibility to write grants to bring everything up to code off on the commissions. I'm not sure
That's
why
not
they're
our role.
doing
I
that.
don't believe that's our role to do something like that. I really don't.
Exactly, but that's what they were talking about last month, where they had
Very
to
surprised
make the
myself.
grant to bring things up to code essentially. And I'm like, how did that get to be our job? So I'm not
But
sure.
it didn't seem like, I'm just thinking in general, what was her name? Deborah Colley
Mhm.
from the East
Bridgewater.
Bridgewater. She had worked basically hand in hand with Dottie Fuginetti from the
Right.
Brockton Old Colony.
Old Colony. Yeah,
Yeah, she was given an awful lot of guidance in regard to writing the application for the grant
Mhm.
money. And she didn't seem to be all that aware necessarily what the money was going for. Like, she didn't really tell us
Right.
what they were getting the grant money for. But however, she received an awful lot of grant money. She received, I believe she said $50,000 in this first grant.
Right. And that's
and they were-
$50,000 to hire a grant writer.
And they did,
Yeah.
And then after that, they were looking to obtain $250,000, which wasn't clearly stated what they were looking for that either. And you're right, we're probably not in the place for that, though. After you had sent out an email about that, Karen, and what my goal going all the way back, my dream for Bridgewater is going back to Marathon Park. And I always would like to see a poured in place rubber, I don't know if you call it flooring, but I think you would, you know, put over there, because what they have right now, it's even worse than a bare dirt floor. It's wood chips basically
Yeah.
over the whole playground. So that's really very difficult to maneuver. And I actually went there before with Henry, who walked with a cane. And we went from a gentleman from East Bridgewater agency that was in a wheelchair, and neither one could easily maneuver through that playground. And so it just shows how tough it is over there. So I think the rubberized surface would really, I mean, Marathon Park's a great place, and that would just make it that much better for folks with disability. So
It's
that
been-
would be my dream for Bridgewater.
It's been very crowded. I go by sometimes and there's a lot of kids out there.
Oh, man, in the summer, on school vacations, if the weather is, you know, agreeable, it is, that's a very popular place.
Yeah,
But I feel, David, at this stage right now with our committee, we're really not in a position to even be able
Right.
to think
you're
about,
right.
you know, doing the grant. You know, we're not sure where we're even at with individuals that are, you know, I mean, like I said, we need to reach back out to our ADA coordinator and figure
But-
out where we're at. And
But your idea,
Yeah.
Lorraine and Karen, about first initially reaching back out in May to Mr. Solari and
Yeah,
get him to join us for the first meeting, asking him what his involvement is with ADA.
Yeah.
And then, you know, maybe he could become a regular, you know, guest at our meetings, and maybe he could provide us direction. So that would be great.
yeah. So start with baby steps and move forward.
Yeah,
And bring somebody on board permanently and, you know, whatever, so,
yeah.
yeah.
The other thing, kind of moving along, is maybe updating an online presence for the Bridgewater Disability Commission. I mean, a lot of places have, you know, a great online presentation there. We kind of invite someone to look at what you know, this commission is doing and invite them in. And we don't really have that. So that might be something to think about.
And Josh, that's you. You could fix that for us. But the other thing is, for resources like were shared with us today, we could have resources listed on that website. So
Yeah.
while we do not necessarily, I mean, our official role does not include all those things you included. Yes, you do interact with a lot of people, but we are not in a position of advising folks to call people or to do those things. But we
Right.
can have things on, even if the town of Bridgewater had a web page for the different commissions,
Yeah,
and we could have resources related to disabilities on our web page, and then the Elder Affairs Commission and the Historical Commission and all of those areas on the web page instead of just a line. And that way we could also make it more obvious who the ADA coordinator is and how to file a concern. Remember how hard it is to identify where that form lives?
Mhm.
And so I'm thinking a page on the the town of Bridgewater website for the different commissions would be very, very useful.
That's a
Karen,
great
we actually do have a page for all the commissions. You know, if you guys have anything that you'd like to have added, feel free to send it to me, and I'll just make sure to review it and you know, add links and things like that for you guys.
Yeah, so I think the links that Chris provided today would be perfect, Josh.
Yeah.
Because that way people can access that without having to reach out to us. But so just for clarification, is there one page for commissions, or does each commission have their own page?
Sure. So if you go to the homepage and you click on volunteer opportunities, that's kind of the first thing you can access rather than going under one of the tabs. You'll see a boards, committees, and commissions list, and it's all of our committees and commissions and boards that are active and have a page. And then if you click on the link, it'll show you So let me just go to your guys, and I can actually share my screen to show you.
And
what I
not
do.
only that, Josh, but I mean, what if people aren't looking for volunteer opportunities, but what they want to know about disabilities? Is there
Right.
an alternate access for that page?
There is, you just have to, I was just giving you that kind of shortcut for it.
Right, but I mean, having people go through volunteer opportunities means they'll never find it. So is there a more transparent way if they have like disability concerns, click here. So I think
Yeah.
transparency is
Let me show
good.
you, let me share my screen. So on the homepage here,
Yep.
you would just go under government.
Yep.
And then boards, committees, and commissions.
Yep.
And here's the list of all the boards, committees, and commissions.
All right.
And we'll go to your commission. And this is just kind of the mission statement of the commission, and then active members, if there's a vacancy. This needs to be kind of updated because we have a new agendas and minutes tab. So this
What,
doesn't
since
have
the
anything-
17, since 2017?
Yeah, we
Yay.
no longer post here, so
Right.
if we have a much easier to access for the public, but yeah, we can definitely play around with this.
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
in general, for all of the different things, is there like a tab either on the left side or across the top for like, it says services, could that be services and resources to point them to MassGov resources?
So this is specific services that the town provides. So
Oh,
that's what
okay.
that's
Right.
what we have to kind of adhere to in that regard.
Right, I
But
understand.
if there's some things that the commission might want to endorse, or links that to PowerPoints, like that gentleman's PowerPoint earlier, we can definitely share that.
Yeah, I think even just the, like disability resources to have a really quick, transparent way to get that, because obviously, I think one of the points he made is that individuals with disabilities would have trouble with that phone tree, but they would also have trouble clicking multiple links to get where they're going, especially if they're using voice activated computer access. So anything that would make it quick and easy would be a good thing.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
that would be a reasonable thing for someone like the ADA coordinator to, and that might be something we could also include in a grant, David, is making sure that our web presence is fully ADA compliant and actually user friendly.
Indeed,
Yeah.
that's very good.
Because
I'm
that
happy
is
to help
a
any
headache.
way. Any way to help you guys get this information updated, or add and share things, that'd be great.
I think that, Karen, I think that's a fantastic idea because I know navigating the website has not been easy.
Yeah,
And I mean, I have obviously, long-term knowledge or whatever, but for the average individual, which I hear a lot from people, how do I find this? How do I find that? So.
yeah. I mean,
These are
even when I joined the first
important.
commission, it was,
Exactly.
yeah, I went to a meeting, they said it's on the webpage. So I went, and it took forever for me to find a way to apply to be
It
a
does.
commission member. So
Yeah.
it was, and
It
I
has to be
lived
an
in front of a
easy way.
laptop. Yeah.
I
You know,
know.
Karen, a good group to talk to is folks at the senior center, because they're all over 70. And if you ask them about navigating this, they all
Yep.
struggle with it. And
Yep.
anything to
Exactly.
make it more simple and convenient is certainly appreciated.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, that's all good ideas.
Yes.
If you have any agenda topics for the April meeting, please email them to me in the next week or two so that we can kind of follow up with them prior to the meeting. And as I said, we will have Robert Rulli joining us, so we'll look forward to that.
David, quick
yeah.
question.
Certainly.
You skipped over 2-day community access monitor cam training, May 3rd.
Yeah, I missed that. It's still available, May 3rd and May 4th, if you want to sign up for it. If you're interested, I
Are
can.
you attending the April one? Are you attending the April?
I'm going to do the May one instead.
Okay, now my question is, do you have to attend both days? It's a long day commitment for 2 days in a row.
It's 5 hours each day, 10 to 3.
I know.
I don't know if you have to do both. I don't know if you could do one day of, 1 month and one day of the other, because it would kind of make sense, but I'm not sure.
I know, I'm wondering, because I know they said obviously to receive a certificate, you have to attend the 2 sessions.
Right.
2 days. My question is, I do have a doctor's appointment May 3rd. I would like to be able to jump on to some of it. I mean, maybe I just sign up for it and just jump in when I can, I guess.
Yeah, I wouldn't see why not.
Yeah,
I wouldn't see
Maybe
why
I'll
not.
do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to look for other dates because I can do one day, but the next day I'm giving
I
final
know.
exams.
That's the problem,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
mean, you know, one of the things where like, we want commission members who work, but then everything that we're asked to do assumes that we don't.
That's true.
Right.
I
I
mean,
know.
actually, that is a really good point because it's 10 to 3, 2 days in a row during the week.
It's
So
like,
you're right.
well, I work.
I know.
Right of the white hair, I am still too young to collect Social Security. So, sorry, folks. I just got my mother's hair genes. What can I say?
That's funny.
Uh,
Okay. I think, is there any other questions, comments, or anything anyone would like to bring up before we conclude?
I will do the best that I can with minutes. I'm just telling you that.
Oh.
It's been difficult for me to try to participate in a meeting and also jot notes. So if you guys aren't looking for every little tiny detail, I'm
Not
happy
at all.
doing
No,
them.
just a
Yeah.
highlight.
I'll
Whatever
just
you,
do the main highlights and whatever I can, and you know.
That- That's more than appreciated and it will be
No
fine.
problem.
It will
Yeah,
be fine.
we appreciate what you do.
no, I don't mind doing it whatsoever. I just don't want the expectation that I
No,
didn't catch everything. I'll, you know, I'm putting down what I can, so.
Yeah,
Okay,
we're
good.
not expecting you to be like the person who's taking dictation like at a court.
Okay.
Like, no.
I did that years ago, shorthand,
Oh, no.
way back when,
I
That's
didn't do,
funny.
yeah.
So the next meeting is April 25th at 2:00 in Zoom. I think that's about it. And also, Josh, I'd like to thank you for your interactions today and all your help. It's very appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to help in any way.
Yeah, thank you, Josh.
So we need a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn. I feel bad. Gloria's not here. I'm doing her stuff.
I know. So
I
Karen,
second it.
in place of Gloria, made a
Good.
motion to adjourn. Do I have
On
a
Gloria's
second?
behalf, I move for we adjourn.
So Karen did the first motion and I second the second, okay?
you
Okay,
go.
Lorraine.
Good.
I
Thank
thought,
you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
I think
Take
this was a
care.
good meeting. Have a good day. Take
Yeah,
care.
bye-bye. Take care.
you too, I probably
Bye,
won't be
Anna.
fit.
Okay, bye, everyone.